Hey, everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and I have a very special guest in the corner who I can verify has some great dance moves. Would you like to unveil your identity to the masses?
My name is Master Roshi. No, it's not. It's Krillin. No, it's Sonny Strait. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and it's so nice to actually finally have you on the radio with us because we've been trying for a while.
Well, it's nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
And he says be here, but really he's just sitting, we don't know anywhere, and we're just talking over the phone. The
Well, I
wonders of
mean,
the
like
internet.
projecting my spirit to you.
Oh, yes, I can see it floating above. No. But now let's have sort of a foundation here for the people who don't know you, and shame on them for not knowing. But let's start with how you initially got into acting. What sparked your interest?
Well, I started acting in high school, and but my interest was sparked a little bit before that. I used to watch a lot of British comedies, and I would record my own versions of them on tape, and then that kind of got me interested in doing acting. And then I went into high school and sort of became a theater jock and did it through college and local and community theaters, and that was pretty much my beginning in it.
Well, it's kind of funny because you call it a theater jock. I've never heard that term before. We always called ourselves theater geeks when we were in theater.
Well, I called myself a theater jock when I got into college because I had this full tuition scholarship that covered my living expenses in the dorms and 2 meals a day and all my classes. I think I paid like $100 a semester.
Wow, very nice. And jock probably sounds
So
better to the ladies versus geek.
that's right. That's right. Yep, it means I'm a little athletic.
Well, in terms of anime, how did you
uh,
get started there? Because a lot of people they fall into it or they don't know what anime is. So how did you start?
well, Funimation moved to Texas, and I was doing theater in Texas. And my friend Michelle Irving was a friend of Chris Sabat's. And Chris had seen her act before and said, "You have to come to these auditions for Dragon Ball Z." So she went out and auditioned, and she didn't get a part, but she called me up and said, "I'm going to set you up with Chris because I think this is more up your alley." And so I went and auditioned, and I landed the part of Krillin. But as everyone knows who's watched the show, Krillin dies a lot. So Krillin was kind of a part-time job for me until I got the part of Toonami Tom, and then I realized I'd stumbled onto a career.
That's actually really neat, especially because you got to start with such a really big popular series. And that
Yeah, like
series,
the highest rated anime show and television series is where you start.
yeah, that's pretty nice. It's just
Yeah.
aiming high there. But But now, does it amaze you so many years later that not only is it like re-airing on TV, but you still have fans to this day so into that series?
Oh yeah, and to be fair too, to Funimation, I mean, we weren't number one when we started. It took, I think, about 2 years to build up to that. But it is amazing to me now, what, 14, going on 15 years now, and to still be doing Krillin is strange. And I'm sure that we'll be doing some video games soon.
Oh yeah,
It's the
the
show
video
that will
games
not die.
just keep coming. I've noticed that the video games never stop.
Yeah, and I think the video games, the interest in the video games made them realize that they need to keep this thing going. And then they put out Dragon Ball Z Kai. Now, I will say this. If you've only seen Dragon Ball Z Kai on television and you think it's terrible, then I tell you, you need to see it on DVD. Because what we put on TV is edited for 7-year-olds. That's the time slot that we had. So it feels butchered unless you're 7.
I'm kind of lucky because I haven't seen it on TV. I saw like a handful of episodes. Actually, at another anime convention in our hotel room, Chris, our producer, brought it over, and we were all watching it on his laptop with the DVD and the laptop, and like I thought it was really well done because my complaint when I was like 8 years old was
Hmm.
God, why do these big burly men keep fighting? Why can't it be like Sailor Moon with sparkles and sunshine?
So do you like the Kai version?
I do like the Kai version, and I think
I
that
do.
growing now that I'm a little bit older and I can understand stories like that, I could, deal with the older version too of like 10, 15 episodes of two burly men fighting each other.
Well, and we also have the advantage of all the years of experience going in. I mean, we were all pretty green, in season one that we were doing, but now the writers are better and the acting is better. And what was really cool is that Chris Sabat, who's directing Kai or directed Kai, he after like the first 20 episodes or something, he let the voice actors who have directed at Funimation direct their own characters. Like Krillin is directed by Krillin, and Gohan is directed by Gohan, and so on.
Well, now, is that an advantage for you, or is that like a disadvantage not to have any other input on your character?
Oh no, you get plenty of input. As, our ADR guys are really good to bounce ideas off of, and but not only that. I mean, if you know this character really well, and you've directed, it's pretty easy to direct yourself on a character that you know inside and out. Just after 14 years, it's like I know who this guy is, and you put him in a situation, and it's a situation I've seen before anyway.
Very
So
true.
I
So,
think it's easier.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense though. One of the things that I did want to touch upon because we see it when you go to conventions everywhere, but a lot of people might not necessarily know that you're also an artist.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been published, I guess, about 20 times now. The biggest thing I'm known for is the work I did on ElfQuest, which was published by Warp Graphics and later by DC Comics. And then the book I did for Tokyo Pop called We Shadows. And We Shadows was actually nominated by the American Library Association for Best Graphic Novel of the Year. So, yeah, I have a lot. Actually, I was a published cartoonist before I was a voice actor.
And it's do you ever feel like it's kind of weird that sometimes your voiceover overshadows that sometimes?
It is weird, and what I find weirder is when the reverse is true, because I would expect that from being on like this high-rated animated TV show, that of course that would overshadow the cartoon work. But when people come up to me and go, "I didn't know you were a voice actor," that always surprises me, and actually makes me happy too, because it means that they're just appreciating it for what it is instead of just, "Oh well, Krillin's drawing it, I'm going to check it out."
Well, that's true. I mean, for the fans though, they can actually at a lot of different conventions, they can check out usually drawing right then and there.
Yeah, if I have time, some conventions are have a little bit more um, on their itinerary for me to do, so I'm not able to actually draw. But I always have something, like I'll sell my comics or something, and usually if you buy a comic, I'll do a quick sketch for you, and I sell sketches when I have time, like at slower conventions.
And now one thing that I know that my staff wants me to mention because they love stalking it is you have an interesting event that you do on Facebook called Sketchapalooza.
Sketchapalooza, named by the fans. Yeah, that was last year, last summer, and I'd gotten yet another request for a commission by somebody, and I was always telling them, well, that's going to be about $200 or $300, for that kind of commission, and they would always go away disappointed. And finally, the last time it happened, I said, well, how much were you hoping to spend? And they said $10. I went, $10? Well, what would I do for $10? And I thought, well, maybe I would draw like a, 5-inch tall character. It could be any character you want, and I would draw it in whatever situation. And so I thought I'd give it a shot, and I said I'll do 10 of them, and they sold out in like a minute. And then I said, okay, well, I'll up it to 20, and then I upped it to 30, and eventually even 30 was selling out really quick, but I couldn't do any more than 30 because I had to limit it to weekends, because during the week I have other work. So on Christmas, I said, I'll tell you what, this is my present to you. I will take as many orders that come to me, and within an hour. And I got 300 orders, and I was drawing them for months.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I have to, because I'm limited on time this year. I have to up it to $20, but it's still less than what I charge at conventions. But it's now still selling out. Like this last one, even at $20, sold out in 5 minutes last weekend.
Well, now for the fans who want to, watch that and get their own chance to request art from you, is there any, what is your Facebook, or is it like a fan page? Is it a group page? What is it?
No, it's not. It's not a fan page. It is just Sonny Strait, but it is maxed out. I think it's over the max right now. It's like 5,100 and something.
Oh,
But
so you
you
might
can
have to
still
go to
go.
a group page.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'm going to have to. And I'm thinking, great, yet another page I have to monitor. But yeah, I think so. But you can still go to my profile page and and converse there, even though if you're not friended by me. And that's another thing. If you are trying to friend me and I haven't friended you, it's because I can't. But usually it's on Friday nights when I'm in town. This week I'll be out of town, and I'm in Minneapolis. Is that Minneapolis? Is that where I'm going to be? Yeah, that's where I'm going to be. I'm leaving tomorrow. I have no idea where I'm going. I've actually gone to the airport and not know what city I was going to.
Really? I can't imagine that when security's like, "Hey, so where are you going?" You're just like,
I have no idea.
I forgot."
Well, I know as soon as I get my tickets, I know. I know that I'm supposed to be at this gate at this time, and then I get my tickets. And I go, oh, okay, I'm going to San Francisco or whatever. But yeah, that's happened. I've been traveling quite a bit. Sometimes like 3 conventions a month.
Well,
And go ahead.
well, the one thing with traveling that really sucks, like I love going to airports and going to different places, but it just so happens that you're crammed with so many people, it seems like you get sick more often.
Oh yeah, yeah. You have to watch that. And I just recently had a very bad bout with walking pneumonia, and I don't know if I got it from the plane or at the convention I went to, but at first I thought it was just really bad allergies, but it lasted for months. And eventually I went to the doctor and said, no, it's walking pneumonia. Oh, great. So yeah, you've got to be really careful.
Oh God,
Take
don't
a lot of
scare
vitamin
me.
D3. Take vitamin D3 is what my doctor told me.
I just came back from a week trip in California, and I came back, and like the day I came back I was like, oh, my whole body aches, where did I get this random flu? And I'm still kind of stuffy from it, and I just like now I'm gonna be thinking it's pneumonia.
Well, if you have trouble breathing, I would get it checked out.
I'm okay so far. Just
Okay.
this just the snot won't go away.
Could be
But
turned into a medical interview.
well, maybe one day. Actually, I think that's a good point there to take a break. We'll continue our examination behind the scenes, and what I want the fans to do is find your Facebook. They can go on a quest.
Yes,
So,
and look for my website too, WeShadows.com.
yes, we're going to take a short break here on 91.8 The Fan, but don't go anywhere. Special guest isn't going anywhere, so keep it tuned to your favorite station where we play everything you want and nothing you don't. Hey, everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and my special guest is still here. Are you alive? I hope you're alive.
Oh yes, yes. It was a wonderful break. I feel very braked. I feel braked.
I don't know if that's a bad thing or not. Did you break an arm? I didn't do it. For any of the fans
I
listening,
got
that was
broke
not.
on the fan.
No! They're all gonna think that I hurt you. That's always their joke. It's funny because there are people who are like, "What do you do to the guests in the background, during the break? Do you torture them for new information that we don't get to hear? Is that what that is?" So, you're just
Yeah,
feeding into
there
it.
was no torture. We just talked about Disneyland.
Well, it could be torture for some people if they really don't like that sort of thing, but I think we're okay.
Oh, only if they're offended by magic.
But one thing I did want to talk about that is kind of magical is one of my staff members met you at Comic-Con, and you guys kind of sort of had a mini interview on air, and we got a chance to play one of your songs, which is entitled Burn. And since then, it's actually gotten quite a nice following with the listeners out there.
Yeah, I was in a band. It was a different version of White Girl. That's the name of my band, White Girl. And we were playing nothing but punk music. And my drummer left. He moved to another state, so we disbanded. And I had this song that I'd written, and my friend Neil Malley, I've known for 17 years, but he's worked at Funimation for 10. He's a engineer. He's probably one of the best engineers in the country. He took this song and remixed it in an industrial style, and I said, I love this. And we said, well, let's form another band. And it was just me, my wife, and him. And first of all, it's a lot easier to handle 3 people. But we're having a blast. We have our first show at Icosacon in a couple of weeks, and then we have another show in Consplosion, I think in August.
Well, that'll be neat to see sort of the fans' reaction to that because you're seeing more musical acts at conventions now. So here's hoping it's all positive, all gravy.
Well, one of the things two of the things they'll probably appreciate is that on Disc 5 of Dragon Ball Z Kai, I sing the theme song to that on the Funimation release. So what we decided to do as a band, we're also doing a cover of that song, and I play Drossel on Black Butler. And every time I went to a convention, people would ask me to sing London Bridge because that's what he sings in a very creepy way on the show. And I thought, well, why don't we just do that too? So we also have a version of London Bridge that I think I gave you with the other two.
Yes, we do have it, and we will play it if we're allowed to.
Very creepy and funny at the same time.
Yeah, I remember before we got the MP3 copy of it, I remember it was on YouTube. I don't know if that was your official YouTube, but I think you sent me a message about it, and I was like, that is a I don't want to say it's a different style from Burn, but it's definitely it feels heavier.
Yeah, yeah. It's a well, we're talking about a serial killer here, so we had to make it very dark.
Well, now, how would you describe, your genre of music? Like, is it all sort of heavy or punky, or is it just general rock? Is it alternative? How would you personally describe it?
Well, we were calling it High Noon Industrial because it sounds a lot like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly sometimes in the background. But I would say it's got a rock beat to it. There's definitely a lot of harmonies in our work too, but there's an industrial hook to everything we do.
Well, now for the fans out there, besides, visiting you at these conventions and seeing you guys perform live, is there any place where they can support the group?
You know what? No.
That's a bad
We have been
answer.
meaning. Well, we have like the old MySpace. If you go to White Girl, I think it's White Girl Fun, myspace.com/White Girl Fun. But that was really for the old punk band. But you can go check it out. But we need a revamping, and we're talking to a friend of mine now about starting a website just for the White Girl stuff that we're doing now. You can hear a lot of my songs also on SonnyStrait.biz. There's a few of my songs on there. Some of them with White Girl and some of them not.
I'm actually lurking there now, but hopefully in the future we'll see, releases on maybe iTunes and Amazon and things like that.
Well, that is the plan. We should have our first album ready to sell by Ukasacon.
See, now a bunch of fans are gonna be like, "Who's going?" Because I want that album, and they're gonna like try and do. I've seen this before in the live chat. I've seen where it's like, "Well, I'm going. Do you want me to get it for you? Send me the money." So be careful. You don't want to
Yeah,
get
I hope
scammed.
there's a lot of that talk going on.
Well, now, for any other conventions throughout the year, I know you're heading to a lot this year, but are there any other ones coming up that you'd like to promote?
Let's see, where am I going to be? And in Minneapolis this weekend, at CasaCon in 2 weeks. In August, I have AFO, Anime Festival Orlando. Have Consplosion, and then MatsuriCon. That's all in that 1 month. SnafuCon is in September. And another AnimeCon in October. I think that might be all I have booked up so far for the year.
Well, on the plus side, at least you get November for Thanksgiving and Christmas, or in December for Christmas.
Well, you say that. Usually these things book up about 3 months beforehand. I have yet to go a whole month without a convention of some kind, which I like, because it's a good way. First of all, it's a good way to supplement your income when things are slow. So it's nice to always have that to count on. But also, as a voice actor, I came from a theater background where you had instant applause, and you don't have that as a voice actor. You're just in a booth, and you don't know if people like it or not. But when you go to these conventions, you find out, their real opinions on it. And it's weird to me, like, depending on where you are in the country, what they like. Like, the East Coast, most people like Dragon Ball there more than they like Full Metal Alchemist. But if you get into, like, the Midwest, it's all about the Full Metal Alchemist. And it's weird how tastes change from region to region.
I've noticed that with music. For example, if we
Mm.
play, like if we live broadcast at a convention that's more on the east side, usually they like rockier stuff. But if you're over here in the west, I can play more dancey stuff and get people around me to dance, which is what I personally really like because go figure, I'm from the west, but I like to be able to get people to dance around the booth because it might cause a hazard, but it also, causes attention. But I feel like I can't do that with rock music so much in the East.
Well, that's what I like when I'm next to. I've been next to the fan a couple of times because when you're at a convention, it can drain you. Even people are like praising you all day and asking for your autograph. That's really cool. But after a while, it can you need something to get your energy going. And when the fan is right next to you and playing dance music, I'm usually dancing in my chair.
Well, it was actually kind of funny. I remember quite a few times at Konnichiwa, I believe, where
Hmm.
we actually both attended, and where your table was a little bit down, but every time you had to get out of the table, you had to scoot past me, and you would always be dancing by when you did.
That really helped keep my energy up.
Well, I'm happy to hear it because that makes it seem like, we're actually doing our job instead of just sitting there and playing music. Because some people, they're like, oh, well, anybody could just hook up a stereo and play music. But,
Mhm. Well, I'm a kid from the '80s too, and everybody danced in the '80s.
well, sadly, I miss the 80s, not to make you feel old.
Well, that's all right. I'm probably old enough to be your granddaddy.
I don't know. My mom's 60, so
Oh, well, maybe not.
yeah,
I'm old enough to
maybe.
be your older brother.
Okay, well, that's fair. My brother is about 11 years older than me. He's 31. 32. I lied.
Oh, your older brother's 32?
Yes.
Okay, then you can consider me Uncle Sonny.
All right. I'll make sure to call you that next time I see you in person.
Please do.
Now, are there any other projects that you have coming up, whether it's anime or acting or commercial or music or what have you, that you want the listeners to know about?
Well, currently we are going like gangbusters on One Piece at Funimation, and I play Usopp on that. And it's getting to a really, really cool story arc. I'm not allowed to say where we are in recording, but it's awesome. It's actually some of the most emotional things I've ever done, if that gives you any clue. And let's see, WeShadows.com. I started that website this year. I actually got my rights back from Tokyo Pop last October, and I wanted to sell books on my own as a self-publisher, but I wanted to have a bigger audience than what it had with Tokyo Pop. So I decided to start this webcomic. And the webcomic for the past 3 months has been in the top 10, except for like a couple of days, in the top 10 webcomics. And I've just, tomorrow actually finishes the last page of We Shadows Book 1, and soon I'll be starting We Shadows Book 2 on the same site. So look for that.
Well,
And
congratulations
oh
on
gosh,
your success.
I forgot about my biography I'm writing. I'm
Oh,
writing a
really?
biography for about my mentor, Wendy Peeney. Wendy Peeney created ElfQuest and about 30 years ago, and it was a series I read in high school, and I loved it. And I met her at a convention. It turned out she was a fan of Dragon Ball Z, and we got to talking, and she drew some pictures of our characters, and I drew pictures of her characters. And she's like, wow, you draw? And I'm like, yeah. And she says, do you want to draw for me? I'm like, yes. So that's how I got the ElfQuest gig. But when I was working for her, I asked her, would it be possible to do more than just work for you? I wanted to study under her. I wanted to be her apprentice. And she said, really? And I said, yeah. And she said, okay, well, move out to my studio. So I worked in her studio for a year, and every day she looked at a page. She told me what worked and what didn't work and why. And it was the best learning experience of my life. Well, cut to last year, and I was asked to write this biography about her from the standpoint of her apprentice. And it should be out later this year. It's called Line of Beauty, The Art and Soul of Wendy Pini.
I like the approach that you're taking with that because it's not necessarily like, an overarching narrative. It's as the apprentice. So that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, back history and things like that. But also, there's a whole chapter on apprentice knowledge that I gained from her while working in her studio. So, I mean, it's a really interesting way to write a biography, and it's going to have tons and tons of art of hers in there. So, if you don't know who she is, it'll be a good introduction to who she is. Although, if you really want to know who she is, go to elfquest.com, and you can read every book they've put out for the past 30 years for free.
I can already hear the keyboards clicking and people's mouses going over to their browser. Now, since we're nearing the end of this interview, I was wondering if you'd like to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Sure.
He's
Who
like, I
says
don't
not
know what
knowing?
I'm
Okay.
agreeing to. Yes. Basically, we ask everyone if they'd be willing to do a bump for us, a radio bump.
A radio book.
A bump.
Yeah.
Bump.
Oh, bump. Oh,
Yes.
bump. Okay. Yeah, yeah. That's
Awesome.
that's quite different.
The trick of it, however, is that we do the takes live on air. So if you mess up, everybody hears it.
Oh, that's okay. I'm used to people hearing me mess up on a daily basis.
Okay, awesome. Then basically we ask if you could say, hello, my name is, you insert your name. I do this. You can say projects you're a part of, that you're an actor, whatever you want to put there. And you're tuned
Okay.
into 91.8 The Fan.
Hello, my name is Sonny Strait. I am a creative genius when it comes to anything of the geek arts. I am a comic book artist. I am also a voice actor for anime. I play the voice of Krillin, Usopp, Toonami Tom. I've drawn ElfQuest, and when I'm done bragging with myself, I usually promote radio stations, and you're listening to The Fan.
That works perfectly. And you skipped the numbers so you didn't get those confused. I like that.
Exactly. That came to my brain. I went, what are those numbers? Forget it. Say The Fan.
I think you're literally the first person that after I've given the line, they have been like, "Are you ready? Are we good? Are we doing take one?" But no, you just went for it.
Maybe it's that pregnant pause we have in this conversation because of the lag.
That could be it, yes. But for the listeners out there, do you have anything specifically you want to say to them? Any parting words?
Well, I'm really happy from all the support I've received. Uh, you people have been great for me. The top webcomic site that I'm on, that I've been on for the past 3 months, you get there by people voting for your webcomic. And people have just been relentless in voting every day to keep my webcomic in the top 10. And I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart.
And this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you for having me.
And for any of the listeners out there that missed any of this interview, shame on you. I'm going to come after you with like a hammer or something. But if you keep your eyes peeled to 918thefan.com, the interview will be posted up within the next few days. So stay tuned to your favorite station where we play everything you want and nothing you don't.